So this conversation is going to be about joy. There's nothing more important in this life is to understand that everything is guided by the sense of joy. And if the sense of joy is not with you in a present moment, it's because you're resisting something about who you think you are, or what's happening in your reality or your past, or worry about the future or those sort of things. Essentially, though, everything can be lived in joy, and that is the secret to this experience of life and expanding as you intended to expand along this journey. The journey would not be anything without the joy. It would not be worth the effort, worth the trip, worth the ride, worth any of the expansion. Expansion, as you intended, was to be had in joy. And so when you're having joy, when you're feeling good, when you're interested in something, when you're excited and exhilarated, when you're passionate, when you're focused on something you love, you're in a state of joy. So joy would be any emotion above that horizon line, anything that is aligned with love, with who you truly are, because essentially you are at your core a being of love. You are love. You are not separated from love. You are nothing short of love. You are love. That's who you are, but you can't always perceive that. Your reality is also love. Everything in that reality is based in love. Now, you will look at certain things and you will see them from a perspective of fear and limitation, and you will say, I wish that wasn't there. I wish that wasn't necessary. I wish I didn't have to do this, that, and the other thing. But all of it is coming to you so that you can move on your journey of self-discovery in joy. The whole linchpin of this experience of physical reality is one activated in joy. So if you're not having joy, well, then you're just resisting what is happening. And why wouldn't you be having joy? Well, you're taking things a little bit more too seriously than they need to be looked at. You have a little bit of an attachment to how things should be going, or how people should be perceiving you, or how you should be operating within your life. But if you were to see what everything really is, you would exist in a state of joy, because there is nothing truly to fear. The fear is the illusion. But that illusion is also part of the fun, because without the illusion, you couldn't really have any meaningful experiences. And what we want you to know for sure is that everything that exists in your reality is defined by you. It has no inherent meaning whatsoever. So you get to have these relationships with the people in your life, with people you've known all your life, and with new people coming in, and with people who seem to be strangers. You get to operate as whoever you want to be with those people. And you will notice that sometimes you're one kind of person with that friend, and you're a different person with that friend, and you're different with your children and your parents and your mates. And you are operating in that relationship in a meaningful way for one purpose only, and that's to discover who you truly are. The more authentic you are in any relationship, which really means the less you care about what other people think of you, and you are just being who you're being in the moment without any judgment whatsoever, well, that is joy. And so joy then would be the lack of fear, or the lack of what you think is wrong or bad. And so if you can reorganize or rearrange in your mind what you think is wrong or bad, you will experience more joy. When you give up your attachment to outcomes, you'll experience more joy. When you realize that this is just a game you're playing, that it's just here for a little blip of time, that is not serious whatsoever, and that nothing outside of you can make you feel anything, if you give all that up, all that's left is joy. And joy is really why you're here. You have the sensations, these feelings, these emotions that are letting you know how you're operating in this reality, and how you're choosing to perceive yourself within that reality. And so from the most limited perspective, you will have very little joy in your life, which means that you're seeing yourself as a victim, or you're seeing yourself as less than, or unworthy of, or not whole, not good, not whatever it is you think you should be. And that's the illusion. If you could see yourself for who you truly were, who you truly are, you would exist in an absolute state of joy. And this whole process then would be one of coming from the illusion of fear, of lack of joy, of disdain for what's going on, to the new perception of yourself as good enough as you are, as worthy of everything just because you're here, as not needing to be anything other than who you are. Because in essence, you are perfect. In essence, your life is perfect. In essence, your entire reality is perfect. And you get to choose to see the perfection or the imperfection. That's up to you. If you choose to see the imperfection, you will not feel joy, you will feel fear. Because that perception of something being bad or wrong is simply that which you are afraid of yourself. I can't handle this situation. I will never get what I want. I lack this, that, and the other thing. I'm not free to do what I want to do. And so you get to pose that question to the universe. Well, what if I was a little bit different? And then you might effort and struggle your way to being a little bit different to see how that works and see if you affect any change and see how that change feels. And then you'll do this a number of times in this lifetime, in past lifetimes, and many lifetimes. And somehow you'll come to the conclusion that you never needed to do anything other than what you were inspired to do. Well, that's an interesting point, because are you receiving inspiration? Well, if you're receiving inspiration, it means that you've sort of given up this inauthentic version of you. You've sort of given up these desires that you've birthed that you think are so important, that are generally based in lack and limitation. And you're saying, if I am perfect, and if I'm in this universe that's perfect for me, and this life that's perfect for me, and then I'm getting everything that I actually need in this reality, I'm getting all the people and all the experiences, all the money and the insights and all these things that I need. What if I could drop those desires that are based in lack and fear and just listen to these ideas coming to me when I'm in a state of alignment? And if I could act on those ideas from time to time, more and more and more of the time, what would that feel like? And if you could push past that fear, which we understand is uncomfortable and you're not something you're used to yet, but the fear is not the lack of joy in the moment, it's the action that you can take that will bring you joy. So it's this little barrier between the time or the thought of inspiration and the action. That's just the fear, and that fear will always pop up. Now, if you push past that fear to do what you're inspired to do in the moment, you'll notice that that activity, whatever you can do, is always interesting and fun and joyful, always. And sure, it might lead you into a manifestation event, but the manifestation event is something you want, because you will uncover hidden limiting beliefs that you were unaware of, and now you have the tools to process those limiting beliefs. So that's joy. Oh, fascinating. This event that I think I did not want to happen is happening. I feel the fear. I'm understanding that I'm in that fear, receiving thoughts that are based in fear and urges to change the conditions. But what if I didn't act on those urges in the same old way? What if I stopped needing to protect myself? What if I stopped needing to control others or their perception of me? What if I needed other people to agree with me less often? What if I could just go with the flow of my own life, doing what I'm inspired to do without any attachment to an outcome or how I'm perceived by others in the outside world? What if I gave all that up? What would happen then? Well, then you would be moving step by step in action that is interesting, satisfying, joyful, towards higher versions of yourself, to new dimensions. Because every time you take an action based in an inspired idea, you expand in joy through that action. Even though there's a little fear there in the beginning, that's okay. And as you get used to processing that fear, analyzing that fear, realizing it's irrational, and taking some action in the moment, as you take these steps, these action steps, guess what? You gain confidence. Now, as long as you're understanding that the action part of that, the action part of this entire process, the action that you can take in the moment is always easy, effortless, and joyful, and will always lead to outcomes beyond your imagination. Things that you cannot even begin to imagine because from your limited perspective, you cannot see where these action steps will lead. But over time, with enough inspiration, step by step by step, taking action in the moment, you'll be led to a new reality, a brand new reality for you. And in that reality contains everything you truly want. And in that reality, you will feel so much better about yourself as long as you continue to move step by step by step. It's when you give up moving, when you say, this is too much, when you say, I can't do this next thing, why can't I just sit here and enjoy my life as it is? Well, that's sort of complacency, and that really is not aligned with who you truly are. You are an explorer, you are a mover, you are a shaker, you are intrepid in every way. You are seeking more and more and more clarity about yourself, your reality, everyone else in it. You are on that journey. You do not want to stop and take a rest. Now, of course, you will stop and take a rest. That's inevitable. And in those times when you are doing that, give yourself a break. Realize that it might get a little overwhelming from time to time, but carry on. Think about being in alignment. Think about understanding that everything's working out for you. Think about who you truly are, a magnificent, limitless, eternal being of pure positive love and acceptance. Hold that in your imagination. What would this person do now? If I'm a being of love, if I'm limitless, if I'm magnificent and eternal, if fear is really the illusion, then why not push past that fear just to see what's on that other side? And if you can do that, you will live an expansive life exactly as you intended to live, which is what you are doing now, because you've all found enough inspiration, you've all pushed past enough fear, you've all taken enough action steps to find yourself listening to this right now. Whether you're on the call now or listening at a later date, you've all got here. Now, if you can get here, then you can get anywhere. You don't necessarily need to go where you think you should go, which is based in your old ideas of self, but into the formation of a perception of reality that is aligned with who you truly are. When you see who you truly are in this reality, you will be amazed, and it will be the epitome of joy in that moment. And with that, we'd like to talk to you about anything you'd like to talk about. Who would like to start?